I have people ask me all the time, Lonnie, why don't you date? Why are you single? And the answer is really very simple. I choose to be single. And that is what we are going to talk about today. When I came up with the idea for this YouTube, I decided to do a little research on like what's out there, in regards to being single. And overwhelmingly what I found was how to not be single. I found like you can date this way, you can find your match this way, you can do this, you can do that. And I was a little surprised about there's not a whole lot out there about, okay, you're single, let's celebrate your choice of being single. And so I decided that on this particular episode, we are going to celebrate the simple fact that if we choose to be single, if we choose to not have somebody in our life at this particular moment, one, we are not broken. Two, there is absolutely nothing wrong with us. And three, it is an absolutely perfect lifestyle that a lot of people don't understand, but you know what? It's perfectly beautiful. So let's jump right into why I, at this particular point in my life, am choosing to be single. So let's take a quick look back to where I am today. I got married young. I was like 24 when I got married, and I was married for shy of 10 years. Now, I left my marriage. It was not a happy, healthy marriage. And when I left, I was not in a good mental, emotional state. And unfortunately, what happened is I didn't have anybody out there at that particular time that gave me the guidance of, you need to give yourself time to heal. You've just come through a really traumatic experience. Now give yourself time, find who you are, let yourself heal. I didn't get that message. And what happened is I just went straight from an unhealthy marriage right into a series of unfortunate relationships. I had a lot of relationships where I had repeating patterns. I kept on trying to find somebody to fix them. I figured if I fixed them, they would love me. It didn't work out, and it just became this horrible repeating pattern of find somebody, try to fix them, didn't work out, break up, find somebody, try to fix them, break up, didn't work out. And every time that happened, it took an emotional toll on me. Every time that happened, I had the inner voices in my head stating, well, I told you weren't good enough. You know what? They don't love you. You shouldn't love yourself. And it was a really difficult time. It was a really dark time. And right about that time, my addictions really just kicked in. And I have done a lot of YouTubes on my sober journey, and this is all a part of where this kind of fits into everything. So I'm just in this really dark place, and I can't find my match. I can't find love. And every time I just felt worse and worse and worse about myself. Until one day I was driving to work, and a little voice in my head told me, and the little voice in my head said, Lonnie, what are you doing? You cannot continue this pattern, because for one thing, your children are seeing this. You're setting a horrible example for them, and you need to figure yourself out. And that was probably the most important conversation I've had with myself prior to myself telling myself to get sober. But I'm like, wow, you're right. I do need to concentrate on myself. I need to start figuring out who I am so I can pick the right person. So the right person will be attracted to me. So I decided to stop dating. At that point, I stopped dating. And that was probably 10, 12 years ago. So I stopped dating. And what happened is, no, it's going to have a happy ending, so don't worry. But what happened is I stopped dating. And unfortunately, instead of doing what I had told myself to do, of working on myself and healing, I slipped into my addiction even worse. So it was from there, I just plummeted to the point where I had a horrible drinking problem, gambling, smoking, you name it. I closed myself up to the world, and instead of healing, again, my addictions just jumped on me. So fast forward to now, I'm starting to get sober. And it's a beautiful thing, and I encourage anybody out there who is thinking about getting sober to look into it. But at that point, I started doing what I had told myself I was going to do prior. I started working on myself. I started finding myself. I started loving myself. So I found who I was, and I'm like, wow, you know what? I am pretty cool. And I spent the next probably 3 or 4 years just working on my self-esteem, working on who I was, just concentrating on me, and working back on getting my relationship back with my children. Because I got to tell you, at that point, rebuilding my relationship with my children was more important than me finding a relationship with somebody else. So that happened. And you know what? I'm working on my relationship with my children. My father had already passed away, but my mom got sick. So I started concentrating on her, and I got her, I was with her every moment until she passed away. And then all of a sudden I'm like, blink, I'm dropped into a modern day. I'm dropped into where I'm like, okay, Lonnie, you've done everything you said you were going to do. You got yourself sober. You found yourself, you like yourself. You've reconnected with your children. You know, your mother is gone, but you're okay with that because you did everything you wanted to do. Now, what are you going to do? You know, are you going to date? Are you going to find somebody now? And it was a really big, scary question. It was very much like, wow, you know, I don't know. Am I going to date? And it really, I had to stop and I had to think to myself, what did I want? What did I want from that moment forward? And what I picked was to not date. I chose to not date at that particular time because I wanted to focus on my life going forward. Now, part of me, and if I'm going to be completely transparent with you, and I like to be completely honest with you, I think part of me was scared to date. Part of me was scared to rock the boat of something I had built. I felt like my sobriety, my relationship with my children, my life in general was teetering on a very thin line. And I was a little scared to add another element and have it flip. So part of me was like, no, I'm happy. I want to be single. And part of me was really scared to add another element to my life. So which again brings us to today. Today I am single, and I say I am single by choice, and I really am. That does not mean that I'm not opposed to having somebody in my life. What it means is I don't need somebody in my life. The difference between who I am today and who I was back when I was just serial dating was back then I was looking for somebody to make me happy. I was looking for somebody to fill a void in my life. I was looking for somebody that was going to fix me. Where I am today, there is no void in my life. I have fixed myself. I am absolutely 100% okay with me. And that's a beautiful thing. And if you're out there and you're like, yeah, Lonnie, that's exactly why I'm single. You know, I'm not looking for somebody. I want to congratulate you. I always tell people it's okay to do things by yourself. You know, you can go to the movies by yourself. You can go to dinner by yourself. You can do all sorts of things by yourself. A lot of times we get scared and we're like, oh, I don't want to go into the restaurant and eat by myself. What are people going to think? Well, I don't know. They're probably already judged me when I walked in by the sheer fact that I have more tattoos than most people. So the simple fact that I'm eating by myself is really the least of my worries. So I do things by myself. I've traveled by myself. I hike by myself. And again, it's because I am okay with myself and I like to do things, and I'm not going to stop doing it because there's not somebody else in my life telling me I can. I get people ask me all the time, am I lonely? No, I am not lonely. I am probably the farthest thing from lonely. And you know what? If I want to talk to somebody, I talk to Liberty. She's a great listener, and she just looks at me weird, and then I have to give her cheese. So no, I am definitely not lonely. And I think that that's the wrong motivation for trying to find a relationship anyway. I actually had somebody one time tell me, and he was this really sweet guy. He was a little bit older, and he just had a little bit more old-fashioned values. But he's like, Lonnie, he goes, you gotta find somebody. He goes, I'm gonna tell you right now, not to offend you. And anytime anybody starts with that, instantly I'm like, oh, here we go. But he's like, I don't want to offend you, but perhaps if you didn't come across so strong, maybe you would attract a man faster. And I was like, wow, okay. For one thing, I celebrate my strength. For one thing, I celebrate being independent. And two, I don't want to have to enter into a relationship on a false note. That's just, to me, it's like, wow, how long can you keep up the facade of being like a damsel in distress? And I looked at him, I'm like, Rob, I love you dearly, but I'm not going to pretend to be something other than what I am. You know what? If somebody cannot appreciate me for everything that is me, that is not the right relationship for me. I am, again, 100% not against dating. I am not against having somebody in my life, and I am not against the idea of change. But I am 100% happy with who I am, happy with where I'm at, and happy with my life as it is today. So my overwhelming message to you is it is okay to be single. You are not broken. And again, society just looks at us like, ooh, you're single. What's wrong with you? I don't know. There's lots wrong with me. I just don't think that that's stopping me from finding the person who I'm going to hang out with. So there you go. So that's my episode for today. If you're single out there, I really hope that I was able to maybe tell you something that you don't get to hear very often. Simple fact that being single is absolutely okay. I look at it this way. Every day I celebrate my relationship with me. And it's a really cool relationship. Yes, sometimes I argue with myself, but at the end of the day, I'm really happy with who I am, and I'm happy with where my life is. I hope you tell yourself the same thing. You know what? Celebrate your relationship with you. If you enjoyed today's episode, by all means, please hit that like button. If you'd like to stick around, see what I'm going to talk about next, you can hit subscribe. I would love to hear your comments on today's episode and maybe any experiences you've had being single, or maybe some comments you've heard. I'd be really interested in hearing that. And if you'd like to follow me on all of my social media accounts, those are all listed down below. So until next time, remember, tell yourself you are absolutely perfect just the way you are, and I will see you on the next episode.